Let's move to your career as a commander. You moved from starting off commanding a 30-man platoon to commanding 15,000 soldiers, commander of the Australian Defence Colleges, commander of the evacuation force from the Solomon Islands in 2000. It involved you serving in PNG, Indonesia, East Timor, Malaysia, Germany, the US, and Iraq. Now, I want to come back specifically to your time in Indonesia and Iraq to concentrate on some aspects of that. We've just got a few photographs we'll put up as a commander, and then just perhaps ask you to give us a few examples of situations that you dealt with as a commander, like the Solomons or perhaps in East Timor or Papua New Guinea. So, Bruce, could we just bring up 2, 3, and 4? Okay, thanks, Bruce. Bring back any memories, Jim? Those.
It does, Bruce, and excuse me coughing. I'm just at the end of a non-COVID touch of the flu. It does bring back memories, and you'll notice in 2 of those pictures, 2 of the 3 pictures, my mouth's open and I'm saying things, and that's always interesting, you know. And you can see the soldiers behind me in one of those pictures thinking to themselves, how long is this so-and-so going to keep us standing here? But if you can't communicate, I think the thing that occurs to me all the time is if you can't communicate, you can't lead. Every time you get a chance to speak in public, in the media, or even on this, it's a chance to lead. For a military person, or for a politician as I am now, for a military person, that's absolutely critical. It's much more intense, and the audience is much greater now as a politician.
You've had an involvement in aviation, both in the military and civilly, and particularly with your civil involvement, it's been in aerial firefighting, which of course is really critical in this country, and I think came under real focus with the recent Royal Commission that the federal government set up following our last lot of bushfires. So would you like to just tell us a little bit about your aviation involvement and the aerial firefighting situation? I think it's the National Aerial Firefighting Centre.
Yes, I decided to take a bit of a break from being an infantryman, and the Army Aviation Corps was just expanding at a rapid rate, and I was selected as a pilot. So I was an Army helicopter pilot for a couple of years, and flying light reconnaissance helicopters, and absolutely loved it. And it was a level of freedom that you don't get in the infantry. You don't get, you know, you're always supervised, you're always responsible for large numbers of soldiers, every one of which is out to destroy your military career. And but as a pilot, you're very much an individual whose success or failure depends on your own individual application and skill. I did 3 years of that, and I may have stayed on in Army Aviation if it had have been more of a warfighting organisation, but it wasn't. So I went back to infantry at the end of that. But I always maintained a love of aviation and a respect for it. And Army Aviation at the moment is a very, very big organisation comparatively to what it has been in the past. And we live and breathe, you know, on aviation nowadays as a joint force. So very, very important. I sustained my flying skills when I was back in the infantry by doing part-time flying work during my annual leave, which really impressed my wife, I must admit, because leave time would come and I'd disappear some remote place doing survey work or whatever. Even on weekends, I used to relieve, when I was at the infantry centre as a senior instructor tactics, I'd go down to Newcastle and relieve the pilot down there on the rescue helicopter. And for me, it was extraordinary because you're still maintaining your breadth of exposure to Australian society. We in the military have extraordinarily deep knowledge and deep involvement in our own military profession and society, but we're not very wide. And this kept me, now we try to do it through sport and social activities. This kept me involved in something that was critical to Australian society, and I flew the Westpac rescue helicopter out of Newcastle and various other parts, South Australia, Victoria.
Well, an unbelievable hour, and we're just so grateful that you made your time available and spoke to us this morning, because all these areas are important, but also, what I must say, what I enjoyed, I'm sure others will feel the same, getting an insight into Jim Molan, the person, which I think we did get through going right back to when you started and following the journey. So thanks very much for sharing that journey with us, particularly as you are an Ivanhoe boy, and I speak a bit, and I've got one of my colleagues with me. We're a bit proud that you're an old Paradian as well.
Good on you.
I could say that, but I think it's good that someone like you, with your background and experience, is part of the political situation at the moment, because that background and experience can bring something to the policy making and the decisions that otherwise is very difficult to obtain. And I might say that you mentioned your mother. Your mother was in our parish, and
good.
Great person. But I tell you what, she was a fantastic fan of yours, I can assure you, because every time I saw her, she'd be telling me what Jim's doing now.
I'm glad you knew her. That's
the conversation we had when you were in Indonesia. And I think she was a bit concerned about your security situation when you were in Indonesia. But thanks for sharing your time with us. And we may, later on down the track, if you're available and don't mind, we might ask you to join us again and share some further experiences with us. But
thank you, David. If I just say one more thing, just to thank you very, very much for that. It is lovely that you knew Mum, and I think more and more of her the older I get. But our generation, I think, has a particular responsibility now, because I have to laugh at the millennial, how to handle millennials. I mean, they haven't got a bloody clue. And our generation does know an awful lot. And I don't want to be, my mother and father worked to produce the most extraordinary, prosperous, free generation this country know. I want us as governments to ensure that was not a high point for Australia, and everything's downhill from now on. So thank you very much for the opportunity, and all the best to all of you.